thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us. The Dwellynn Show. I could go on and on with your introduction, but I just want us to just dive right into it. So can you just tell the Dwell listeners what you've been doing lately, and how that's been going?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ola, for having me and looking forward to the conversation. My story, I started investing in real estate about 6 years ago, just as a passive income play. I was working a full-time job, big, Fortune 500 company, and was super busy and looking for a way to kind of get out of the rat race at some point and just really create some extra income. And started buying we bought a duplex and a fourplex and really didn't know what we were doing at all. Just jumped in, leveraged a friend who had a couple of them, was a broker, kind of talked me into it. And from there, it really grew and took off and fell in love with the business. We built up a portfolio, my brother and I, about 76 units at this point. And got to the point that we're kind of consumed with real estate as a business and as a way of life. Our goals shifted a little bit, and we went from wanting to kind of have this financial freedom to really like this became a new career. And to the point earlier this year, ended up quitting my corporate job and doing real estate full time to build out a bigger portfolio and chase big apartment deals.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's a bunch of content right there. We need to definitely unpack that. So you basically started with a duplex and a quadplex, and now you're up to 76. So that's a big transition. But before we actually get to that, why real estate?
Why real estate? I felt like I had a friend who was an agent and had, 5 or 6 sort of small multis, duplexes, and we started talking about it. I grew up in Austin, where I live now, and I had moved back here. My dad got sick and had a big stroke, and I was kind of reevaluating what I wanted to get out of life, and realizing I was spending a lot of time taking care of him, and if you're not working, you don't have income. And that was the first time I kind of realized that. I think I was 27, 28. And so I was looking for ways to generate some passive income and started questioning, the trajectory I was on of, working really hard and, trying to make VP at a big publicly traded company. So when I was in that exploration, kind of came across real estate, and that was my first introduction to it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So definitely you said, okay, I'll do real estate as opposed to, maybe stocks or whatever. But then how did you make that decision that you go after the asset class, that is multifamily, my favorite asset class?
Yeah. Again, I think got a little bit lucky, had a friend who was doing it, talked me into it. And I kind of rode his coattails a little bit, bought a duplex. Okay. He told me it would be a good deal, and figured it out along the way. I think we made the decision to manage ourselves, learn the business, you kind of figure out what we were going to do along the way. And it's just sort of grown organically. And like I said, we kind of, the more we got into it, the more we fell in love with it. And it became, not just an experiment, but a passion. And, now it's a new job.
Nice. So a lot of people don't usually associate real estate with job, right? Some people do think that you just, get into real estate, you flip a house, you make 100,000. So can you tell us a little bit more about when you say it's now a job? We're going to go back to you quitting your actual corporate job, but when you say real estate is actually a job, can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah. I'd say it's my job because it's what I spend, all my time thinking about and all my time doing, and it got to the point that I was more excited about my side hustle than I was my day job. And I felt like I could scale a business faster and make it my business. So, they say, if you do what you love, you don't work a day the rest of your life. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm working harder than I ever have, building out a company and chasing, big apartment deals, but it doesn't feel like I'm not working for someone else. And it doesn't feel like work because I love it and I'm helping people.
Nice. Okay. So let's kind of rewind real quick. So tell us about the duplex first, and then we'll go to the quadplex. And what were the numbers? How did you find it?
Yep. So I found it just, from my friend who's the realtor, kind of had been exploring deals with him. He gave me Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Investor book. So I read that. We'd been talking through things, and he said, hey, here's a duplex that he actually had listed, was right next door to one that he owned. We bought it. We paid $212,000. He helped me do some renovations. We spent, I think, $15,000 or $20,000 updating it. and had it appraised last year for like $365,000. Pulled some of the equity out of it. It rents right now for $1,300 a side. So we got, our basis in it is about $225,000, and we're renting it for $2,600 a month.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, that I mean, congratulations. That's definitely a great start. Of a deal actually appraising at that number. So then you thought, well, with the same broker guy that you said kind of just go up a little bit to 4. How was that for you, and what are the numbers on that too?
Yeah, so we got the duplex, and within a month or so, we got the fourplex. So once we decided to go do it, we had enough capital to kind of go get a couple of buildings. We did them almost simultaneously. He helped us find the fourplex as well. I think we bought that for $265, and the rents were right around $2,500, $2,600 when we bought it. We put very little work into it, inherited some really great tenants, did some sort of token things like ceiling fans and made it a little bit nicer and showed them we were going to take good care of the property, added on some back patios and things. And I think we took the rents up to around like $2,900 or $3,000 right when we bought it. So again, it was another really solidly performing cash flow positive property. And at that point, I joke with him all the time. We bought our first place. He said, watch out, real estate's like crack. And I tell him all the time, like, he's my crack dealer, and he got me, and it exploded. It just became, all consuming. And here we are today.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I can totally relate. So you do make most of your deals in the Houston market?
In Austin. Yeah. So
okay. In Austin. Okay.
Yeah. So about half of what we've got is in Austin. The other half's in San Antonio. I'd say 2.5 years ago or so, 3 years ago, realized that everything we were seeing in Austin was, not going to cash flow for us. It was people that were buying it wasn't for us. It didn't work. So we went to San Antonio, about an hour away, great Texas market growing, but we could still cash flow deals. And so we started buying down there about, 2.5, 3 years ago. Okay.
So how is that kind of, before we move to the larger multifamily, how is that kind of working for you guys? You're in Austin and you're buying in SA. How are you, managing that?
So when we went down there, we made the decision to get a property manager for those properties. It's actually a manager that has Austin and San Antonio as their region. So we engaged them to manage the stuff in San Antonio while we kept managing the stuff up here in Austin. We spent a lot of time down there looking at the neighborhoods, and we knew the city fairly well. It's an hour from Austin. So having grown up here, spent a lot of time down there. So kind of knew that the areas of town we'd want to be in, but just spent, a lot of time really kind of running the numbers on deals, setting up Redfin alerts to see all the duplexes, fourplexes that hit the market. And it took us 6 or 8 months to finally get a deal done down there once you kind of shifted our focus south.
Okay, awesome. So you've got your feet not just wet, but actually deep in the multifamily space. So now you are buying more properties. So how was that shift, from the quad to your next property?
Yeah, we went from 6 doors there to 76 doors over the course of about 4 years. And it was just from, I've written a couple articles about that process, and it was just being disciplined with your cash flow, being disciplined with your income from your job, buying stuff that made sense and reinvest every cent you can into acquiring more properties. We did do a refinance at the end of last year, pulled out some of the equity we had, and it fueled, another round of purchases. But, it just, like I said, it became an obsession more than anything, and just fell in love with the business and the potential for, what it would do for our lifestyle and our family, and the ability to have, passive income that freed you up to do what you wanted to do with your time.
Nice. So we've talked about the first couple of properties. So you were doing all of these activities, and you were doing pretty well, and you still had your job, and then you quit your job. Wow. That's huge. How did you come to that decision? And when you did, how easy was it, to kind of transition into being a full-time, investor?
Yeah, it wasn't a comfortable decision. I think, walking away from a pretty high paying job. I have a great, super supportive wife, and we've been talking about it a bunch for years. And she joked, that's sort of all I talked about. And it was my second job. So all my energy was going that direction. We obviously have built up a portfolio that is giving us a certain amount of passive income every month. So it makes it a little bit easier to walk away from your job, which again was kind of the goal. But it just became, look, we've built out a pretty good portfolio with our own capital. We've learned a lot about the business, and we understand that big properties are more efficient. There's greater economies of scale. There's a lot more opportunity there. And we've talked about it with everybody we know. They know we're investing. Let's go pool our resources together and start buying bigger deals and let everybody benefit in it, and be the point person for it. So we kind of end of last year decided, let's make that the next chapter, and kind of circled 2017. That was going to be the year we made the transition, and we ended up doing it. We participated in a deal, a 200 unit deal that closed in June. And that was the same month that I left my job.
Oh, wow. And you did not get any kind of resistance from your family, from your friends, or just people that you talked to?
I've certainly had people that kind of looked at me crossways. You're leaving that job, you're leaving that income, that salary. That seems kind of crazy. Like I said, I've had also, my wife's been super supportive. My close friends and family have been great. And, I think that the doubters, that sort of, fuels me to go get things done and be able to turn it back around and say, look, you didn't think I could do this, and we're doing just fine. I think the most common reaction I've gotten is, almost a sense, I think a little bit of jealousy. Oh man, you did it. You left the race. I can't believe it. You're wearing, working at home wearing flip-flops. That's awesome. So that part is nice, but it's important to have support at home.
Right. So now you're on I like to call it the promised land.
Yeah.
You have your own time. You wake up, you work. You've been working harder, than even probably when you had your corporate job. So how do you manage that time now that you have your time yourself? How does that promised land look compared to the corporate job?
Well, he was asking me, so what do you do with all your free time? And I said, well, I don't have any free time, but what I do have is my time. It's all my time. So I get to prioritize, what's going to happen each day. I get up early. I get up earlier now than I did, with a corporate job. Try to get up at 5 and kind of write out what are the goals for the day. What are the things I need to get done. Kind of really looking at the holistic aspect of life. One of my goals and on my vision board is I've got a picture of a school bus. One of my goals, I want to be home at 4 o'clock or 3:30 in the afternoon when my kids get off the bus from school.
Wow.
So if I need to take the kids to camp, we're in the middle of the summer, everybody's doing camps, or okay, factor that in. But having that flexibility is so liberating and fantastic. But it's really just prioritizing what are the things I need to get done today, and sort of time blocking the priorities to make sure that you got a list, get the things checked off, and go to the next day.
Nice. So if I'm a listener, I'm a door listener, I'm driving to work or whatever, and I'm like, wow, I like this Andrew guy. I want to be this Andrew guy. What would you say to that person? How do I make that decision to kind of leapfrog from where I am today to where I really want to be, which is having my time?
Yeah, I think you got to kind of sit down and what are your priorities? What are the things that you value, and is it a number, a monthly income number that you need to replace, or are there changes you can make to sort of lifestyle to accommodate that faster? And then what are you willing to give up to get there? If you think about it in the aspect of being a real estate investor, well, do you want to be an active investor and buy your own single family home or duplex or, small property and manage it and kind of get your hands dirty and get into the leasing and everything? Or do you want to go more of a passive route and invest in somebody else's deals or a REIT or, lots of other paths? So I think it's, what are your objectives? What are your goals, and really kind of reassessing what trajectory you're on. And if you need to course correct, how do you do that?
Wow. That's powerful. So you've got so much going on. You're looking at bigger deals now. The one thing folks trying to get into real estate say, is, I can't get capital. I can't get money. What do you say to that? And how do you go about syndicating, which is, pulling funds with, other investors? How do you go about making that happen? How do you find capital?
Well, I think number one, you just start talking about it. When we kind of made the decision that this was going to be the new path, start talking to everybody we know. This is what we're doing now, and it changes people's perceptions of you and what they think of you. I'm no longer the marketing advertising guy. I'm the real estate guy. I think once you start getting deals too, the money is out there and it's available, and it's looking for a home and for good deals. So one of the benefits of doing this full time, I spend 20 to 30 hours a week networking with potential investors, equity sources, capital groups. This is who we are. This is what we're all about. This is our strategy. This is our portfolio. I'm going to keep you posted when we get a deal. And, it's just a constant, it's a constant piece of the job, but the money is out there if you have good deals. Awesome.
Okay. So you've got all of this going, you're doing pretty well, you're networking, you're looking at bigger deals. What's next for Andrew Campbell? What does 5, 10, maybe even 15, 20 years look like?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. 5 years, 6 years ago, I never would have told you I'd be sitting here, doing a podcast talking about being a full-time real estate investor. I know that, I've never had more fun. I've never felt more free than I do right now. And I know that we'll be doing something related to real estate investing in 10 years and 15 years. Will it be sponsoring apartment deals? Probably. I know that for the next year, we've got a goal of doing 5 to 7 deals, and, kind of really getting the business operational and having everything worked out. Beyond that, I don't know. I know that our company looks very different, with 3,000 units under management, than it will today with, 350. So,
right.
Tough to answer. I just know I'm enjoying the ride and focused on getting better and at getting great deals.
Nice. Okay. So we're definitely, kind of dwelling into the quick round. So quick questions, quick answers, right?
Yep.
You ready?
Let's do it.
What makes Andrew unique? What is that differentiating factor that, kind of sets you apart from another guy or another girl?
As an investor, I think I layer the fact that I'm from Texas and I'm focusing on Texas. And I think that's a unique benefit as we're hunting for deals in Texas, with folks.
Okay. What was your last book and what did you learn in that book? What was the takeaway for you?
I just finished the book Tribes, Sebastian Junger's book Tribes. Fascinating book, just about people and as a culture, how we in today's society don't have that close connection of, tribes that so many native societies have or wartime, platoons do. It really good, interesting book, unrelated to real estate, which I don't often sort of get outside that realm, but really, really interesting book, just looking at, Native American cultures and wartime platoons coming back, and they actually miss being at war with this brotherhood, that today's world is so complicated and so sometimes lonely that, we're, I think as a species kind of struggling with that. It's great read.
Interesting. I'm going to check that out. Last question. So you've got so much going on. What do you actually do for fun?
Golf is my habit. It's every chance I get, I try to play golf. One of the benefits is being able to do a little bit of that for work now, getting out, with investors and brokers and network a little bit on the golf course. But yeah, I love it and hate it all at the same time. It's my second obsession. Nice.
Well, thank you so much. You've, taught the Dwell listeners a lot. I've learned a lot myself. And we can't wait to get you back on the show. Andrew, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Talk with you soon.
Thanks.